Much as I disliked the man, I later realized that Sergeant Craig probably did me a big favor. He didn't have many favorites that he liked to pick on, and I sure wasn't happy when I made his list, but I think he'd seen my pain when I stubbornly refused to give in when he was trying to get us to break during that first day when he took us behind the barracks. And he was, it wasn't just me. Those of us that he saw as victims of his prerogative, where his prerogative was to root us out or make us tougher or whatever his thinking was. But he'd do this. He'd say, "Riggs, give me 15. And, you didn't have to ask what you did because it doesn't make any difference. He says to give you 15, you drop down, you give him 15. And then you get up and you're standing back there in attention again, and he'd ignore you for just a minute or two and say, "Riggs, did you cheat?" And you found out right away it didn't make any difference. If you said, "Yes, I did," you got to do 15 more for cheating. If you said, "No, sir," "No, Sergeant," you don't want to say, "Sir," "No, Sergeant," then he'd say, "Give me 15 for not cheating when you had the chance." Son of a gun had you coming or going. But since I disliked him so much and didn't yield, he built that arm back up for me to where, I don't know whether it was the second, the third, or the fourth, or fifth, or what week, but it got to be where to heck with you. I can do these push-ups very easily with a minimum or maybe no pain. Boy, that's something when you report into jump school, you're only up to 4 and they hurt so bad that you can't do the 5th one. It's a miracle that I got through that. And maybe I should say thank you, Sergeant Craig, for helping me build up my strength so that it wasn't a factor after jump school. I think he was a heavy drinker, maybe. Either that or maybe a manic depressive. All I do know is that at least 3, maybe 4 times during the jump school period, he came into the barracks well past bedtime, routed us out, made us get dressed, chewed us out. Time or two he took us out and ran us around double time. But what he really liked to do, and it drove us nuts, is he'd go around, he had on white gloves, and he'd find some dust. And this filthy place has to be cleaned. And my God, he'd have us scrubbing windows and walls and latrine and the whole thing. And he liked to pick somebody and say, "Hey, go out there on that landing at the stairs that go down from the 2nd story and sound out loud and clear, I'm a big-ass bird." Well, you can't do anything about it. None of us thought it was funny, I'll guarantee you that. And if he wanted us to hate him, he was doing a real fine job. A real fine job. Now, we had some men, by the way, in that first hitch, I never gave it a thought. It was a segregated army. No, I don't remember anybody Mexican. I dang well can guarantee there was nobody black. Mainly we were a bunch of white kids, mostly poor kids, just like it is now. So your rich kids aren't in the army unless they're forced in by draft or are from a military family where it's the tradition. And I doubt that any of them come in and take infantry basic and so on. But anyway, we were blessed to have some boys who had been in the service a few months, maybe even in the case of Sergeant Quick, maybe he'd been in a year or more. Sergeant Quick was, he was an old man to us 18-year-olds. I think he was probably 28. Can't remember for sure, but I know he was 25 to 30. Built like a spark plug. Boy, strong. He wasn't a big, tall man, but he's a strong-built fellow. And there's a couple of corporals. And Sergeant Quick was You could tell, respected by the cadre and by Sergeant Craig. He never gave, well, in fact, he didn't give any of those boys that had been in the service before. None of them made his list of victims. It was just the younger kids and those of us that he thought had a weakness of one kind or another. Sergeant Quick will figure in later as we ended the jump school training and got to the final week, where we made 5 jumps in 5 days. A couple of those other corporals figure into another story too.